Can you imagine, New Yorkers, if Lee Zeldin was your governor and Curtis Sliwa in New York City was your mayor? How the world would be a much better place. And I really believe if these elections had been held now rather than a year or so before, that would be the case, Curtis Sliwa, even though it would have been a hell of an uphill battle. It's happened before. It's a pleasure to have my buddy Curtis Sliwa with us. How are you?
Not good, Mark. I see my country being invaded. I see people being told to act like sheep, that they don't know what to do because we have to depend on the sheep herders. And I've just decided, with all the anger welling in my soul and every membrane of my body, that we're fighting back now. We are contesting these areas where they're bringing the illegal aliens in. We're having acts of civil disobedience. We're saying no to the illegal aliens. We believe in legal immigration, taking care of Americans first, and we want to take these illegal aliens and send them all to Washington, D.C., and let their papachulo, Joe Biden, deal with it. He created this mess, put it right on the National Mall between the Washington Memorial and Lincoln Monument, and let him deal with the mess that he's created in this country.
Of course, Rehoboth Beach might be a nice spot to put it, too. Although he's walled in his house now, the Secret Service has. Give us an example. Give the nation an example of what you're doing. You say disobedience and so on. What are you doing to confront this?
What's happening is, you notice our mayor, Eric Adams, swagger man with no plan, is off on a junket in South America to learn why there's an illegal alien problem. You can learn that right at the border if you spend a few days, or right in the city of New York where they're flooding in. And he should have met with Governor Abbott last week when he was in New York. They could have agreed to disagree on other issues, but it's clear Governor Abbott is overwhelmed like so many border cities, so many border states, and we have a lot in common that we could have used against the federal government to force them to do their job. So we've taken the attitude, okay, forget the politicians. We've gotten the mothers, the grandmothers. We surround these facilities. We make life miserable for anyone living in these facilities, and we tell them, look, go to Manhattan. In Manhattan, they give you hotel rooms, they give you culturally appropriate food, they give you motorbikes, they give you everything that you could never have imagined that you would get in coming to America. So if you have to put them in one place, put them in Manhattan where the people seem to want them, and we lead the protests. We're the rebels in all the other areas. And we're starting to get people contacting us now from throughout the country. Chicago, other urban areas that have proclaimed themselves to be sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. They're saying, why can't we do it the way Curtis Sliwa is doing it in New York? Organize the people and put the politicians on the sideline and make sure no harm comes to these illegal aliens. They're just political pawns, but really ratchet it up and make sure that these illegal aliens and this invasion ends.
You're all over New York City, including in some fairly impoverished areas. We have a majority-minority. Are people in these areas starting to understand that this is being done to them purposely by this administration? And by that, I mean the administration in New York as well as the one in Washington, D.C.?
Mark, they see it clearly. First, you have the African Americans who have been forsaken. You see that not just in New York, you see that in Chicago and Philadelphia, all the cities where they're busing in these illegal aliens. And now African Americans are saying, why are we being put to the back of the bus? We have some real needs. We have veterans living in the streets. We have our own homeless who are in shelters. Some
hold your thought right there. Problems. You know radio. I've got a hard break, but I don't want to miss this. This is important. And what you're doing is crucially important. Here we are with Curtis Sliwa, who's leading a movement to push back against the illegal immigration taking place in New York City and New York State. And hoping I am that it spreads throughout the country. And my question, we were interrupted by a hard break, to Curtis was, the folks in these communities, most of which are in poverty, most of which are black, do they understand that politically it's their party, that is, the party that thinks it owns them, the party that most, 70, 80, 90% vote for, is doing this to them?
Mark, they see it now because they realize that here are people, strangers, who haven't been vetted. We know nothing about them. We see areas now of tuberculosis skyrocketing, and they're scratching their head and they're saying, my God, I've worked so hard to just establish myself as an American, and now these invaders, they're jumping the queue, and that means we're in the back of the line, and it's the Democrats who have forsaken us because they've said, don't worry about it. We'll eventually get to your needs. But the real group that's really outraged that I'm working with is the first-generation Americans who had to come in the legal way, the right way, who had to sometimes wait years, fill out papers, go to the consulate, the embassy in their country of origin. Then they eventually were accepted. To become a citizen, the test in history and civics, most of our children could never pass it because they're not being taught history and civics. So they know how precious it is to come to this country, be allowed in this country, work in this country, raise your family in this country, and honor your country. And they're still waiting for loved ones and family members who haven't finished the process yet. When you have a rally, never let the politicians speak, Mark. They are rally killers. Let the first-generation immigrants talk about the struggles they had. And this way the rally comes across saying, yeah, we're for immigration, legal immigration, but not this illegal alien invasion. It must stop. And if you organize and you protest and you're willing to get arrested, as I've been arrested many, many times to make your point, you can fight City Hall and you can win. David can beat Goliath. These politicians are bullies. And you know what? When you grew up in the schoolyard, you got to fight back against the bullies.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing to me how the New York mayor, as you point out, he's traveling overseas. I mean, seriously? We all know what the problem is. It's Joe Biden. Joe Biden can stop this in 10 seconds. He's violating our immigration laws. He is purposely doing this to the country. He doesn't care what happens to New York City. He doesn't care what happens to the black community and other minority communities and first-generation immigrants who follow the rules. He doesn't care because they're playing long ball, Curtis. Their view is we will swamp the country. We will flip Texas eventually blue. We can never lose. Then the children of the illegal immigrants, by current standards, become American citizens. And so if people in New York are inconvenienced, or black communities and other minority communities are inconvenienced, too damn bad. That's what's taking place here. It's intentional.
And it's happened before in history when the Irish came to New York because of the potato famine and England was forsaking them. The Tammany Hall Irish met them here. At that time, the Republicans wanted nothing to do with the Irish Catholics, and they always remember Tammany Hall. And even to this day, I'll go into an Irish Catholic household, and I'll see pictures, of St. Patrick and the Blessed Mother and Jesus and JFK, and there's this adoration. They sort of put them on a pedestal, Democrats, and I say, it's 4 generations later. Wake up. If anything, be a free agent. Don't just be in the back pocket of the Democrats who are selling you out. And that's what they're banking on. A new generation of illegals flooding in. The Democrats will be there for them whenever they need anything. They're giving away free stuff. Mark, they're giving away everything. Food, cell phones, smartphones, 72-inch plasma, full TV sets, PlayStations, and we're paying for it. And people have got to say, enough is enough. We got to fight back, and we got to take our country back. We got to seal our borders, and we have to say no to illegal immigration. And you got to be ready to rally, protest, get arrested, use all the street techniques that have been used against us over the years, Mark, and we can turn this around if we leave it to the people and not the politicians.
I've written this book, and throughout the book, what you notice is how the Democrat Party has abused the black people as a group. They've abused them in horrific ways. They've used them in horrific ways. And now I really believe this in part is a calculation that they either see or they want to create the biggest minority group in America. And they're more than happy to dump this very loyal constituency group for a bigger and what they hope will be loyal constituency group, because the Democrat Party sees everything through power. And I feel this is exposing the Democrat Party to people who've never really been exposed to it before. And I think you're making the same point, no?
Absolutely. In fact, they're guilty of not slavery as what was done years and years ago and promoting slavery, but they're guilty of human trafficking. They're purposely bringing in people who shouldn't be here, who haven't qualified to be here, solely so that they can hold on to power. And let's face it, Mark, they want worker bees out there. They want people to go in and do the work for low pay, the work that maybe others wouldn't do because it wouldn't give them a quality of life. We've achieved too much. We've come too far to allow them to destroy America as we know it. And for everybody out there, how can you go and honor your parents at whatever cemetery they're buried in, or on the anniversaries of their death, if we don't fight for what we know is right? And Mark, this is worth fighting for. So that's why every day I'm out in the streets. Every day we're turning away buses. Every day we're saying to our officials we should be apologizing to Governor Abbott because he had the strength and the courage to say this is wrong. And if you're not going to help me, I'm going to send Texas's problem to you. You're a sanctuary city, a sanctuary state. There's no laws that say you're a sanctuary city and sanctuary state. So stop the nonsense and let's start taking care of Americans. There are so many of them out there who are in need of our help, and we're taking care of people we don't even know. We don't know their backgrounds. We don't know where they come from. And now everybody's a Venezuelan. It's like that scene I'm sure you saw, Mark. Who's Spartacus? Who's a Venezuelan? And everybody jumps up, I'm a Venezuelan. Mark, they have no papers. They have no identification. Even when they commit crimes, the cops, they don't know who to charge, because there's no paperwork that they can process, and they can't be deported. They call themselves asylum seekers, and I say enough is enough. Let's put ICE on a pedestal and let ICE do their job. That's what they were created to do in the aftermath of the attack of 9/11.
Curtis, thanks for what you do. Thanks for what you're doing. We need a Curtis Sliwa in every city in this country, every state in this country. And God bless you, my friend. We appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you for the tactical air support, and there are plenty of great people out there. They just need to be able to organize and take the fight right to those politicians who are trying to destroy our quality of life.
Do you have any link or website or anything? Because I know when we finish, people are going to say, how do I get in touch with them? I'm not sure what to do. Or would that overwhelm you right now?
No, not at all. Just go to guardianangels.org. As you know, I have guardian angels all over the country now, all over the world. Be more than happy. It's just one of the many things that we do in order to keep people safe and secure, and most importantly, to honor America, the greatest country in the world that provides us the opportunity to even be able to speak like this. So just go to guardianangels.org. And thank you, Mark, because you have legions of people out there who I know are going to hear the clarion call and get involved. The Levinites, they don't just talk. They scrape the barnacles off their backside. They get their rear in gear, and they do things.
God bless you, brother. And they will. And you take care of yourself out there. He's a good man. He would have been a hell of a mayor, too. GuardianAngels.org. GuardianAngels.org.